Hello, hello. My name is Linda, also known as Torta Jala around the internet, and I love creative journaling and all things stationery. Today, I wanted to share a flip through of my Traveler's Notebook standard size insert that I've actually repurposed. It's dated for 2024, but I never used it, so I am basically following the weekly prompts that Louise shares on her YouTube channel, Coffee Tea Paper. She's basically decorating her dated weekly insert for this year, but I'm following along just for fun to follow the prompts. So I collage over the dated part of the insert, and then I use the blank grid side for free journaling. And this year, Louise is sharing prompts from a card set by Marie Andrews called Look Up, Look In 52 Meditations on Nature. And basically, they're like an illustrated set of meditation cards that gives you like a prompt to get you thinking. And in the past, I've honestly always been like really resistant to using prompts because I felt like, oh, it's so forced, whether it be for like drawing, doodling, or for journaling. But honestly, I have since found it to be just a really good way to get started. You sort of eliminate the barrier of staring at a blank page and like wondering what to do. So if you follow a daily prompt or a weekly prompt, um, regardless of if you actually connect to the prompt or not, or feel super inspired by it, it's going to get you started. Like it gets you over that hump of like, okay, what am I going to do now kind of thing. And of course, you are free to answer the prompt like very directly, or you can go beyond, or maybe interpret it a little bit differently because, there are many ways to interpret any kind of question and just make it work for you. But yeah, I just think it beats staring at a blank page and having to make like another decision of like what to do if you want some kind of creative habit, basically. So, if you didn't know, the Coffee Monsters Helen, she actually offers like free daily journaling prompts on her blog, and I have found those to be very helpful as well. If you go look at her blog post, she explains very well like the benefits and how she approaches it for like a daily journaling habit that can be literally like seconds, like super quick, or it can become a longer journaling session. And again, it's just that idea of wanting to incorporate like some type of creativity, whether it's like writing or collaging or doodling or whatever, into your lifestyle as a daily or weekly habit or whatever frequency you want it to be. So in this TN, I'm doing weekly collages, following along Louise's weekly videos that she publishes. And for me, it's just a bit of like fun time with paper and stickers for the collage part, and then some like thinking and journaling writing time on the other side of the page. And I have been keeping up this whole year, so I just wanted to do a flip through of all the spreads that I've done since the beginning of the year until now. There's like 15 weeks already. And I just want to share how I've been using the prompts that have been presented and how sometimes I really like follow the prompt closely, and then how sometimes I'm literally just using it as a jumping off point, but then I basically veer off into my own direction and do my own thing, which I think is fine. It's sort of the beauty of like prompted anything, journaling, drawing, whatever, because it's like an assignment, right? Like it ultimately gets you to do the thing because you want it as like a creative habit. And I have noticed that even when I'm feeling down or low on energy or just not feeling creative, I will do it because there's the prompt and, it is supposed to be a habit. And I always feel better after having done it. So I think anyone can benefit from this type of style of forming a habit where it's like prompted doodling or prompted journaling or prompted art journal page or creative whatever your creative habit might be. And of course it could be daily or weekly or even monthly, so that it fits with your lifestyle. So I have this insert in a blue colored traveler's notebook leather cover, and this dated is the it's the dated weekly memo insert from 2024 from Traveler's Notebook, and I obviously didn't use it for 2024, so I realized I should really just buy blank ones. But the difference is that the dated inserts from Traveler's Company, they are sewn. They're bound in the center, like sewn together, instead of being stapled. Whereas all of their other like blank refills and things like that, they are stapled together. I'm not really sure why it's like that. Maybe there's more pages. And since I like to collage and bulk up my pages quite a bit, I like the sewn inserts more. But of course, it means I'm gonna have to cover up all the dates if I'm not going with the dates. Yeah, I really should just make my own inserts, like sew them myself. So yeah, I'm just using up my stash and moving forward, like in the future, I probably will go much more DIY instead of, buying dated ones that I then have to cover up with collage. But you can see that generally the reason why that works so well is because I use a lot of like printable papers, background papers, stickers, decorations. I'm very maximalist. Um, by nature when it comes to decoration because I just can't stop myself from adding stuff. I think it's just because I like to use, supplies. It's not like it's great design or anything. Um, and I really love it when I see people who are able to do like very clean, minimalist styles. I appreciate it so much, but I can't seem to do that myself. Um, I think that mostly from so many years, I have learned that journaling and all of this like stationary stuff, it really is about the process for me, just the act of doing the things, creating the things. It's the most important and rewarding part for me. It's stress relieving, it gets you creatively thinking, moving my hands. Like I I just always feel better after the fact. But of course, it's nice if I like my pages at the end of the day. But after so many years, I think I've become better at it in the sense that I am less and less attached to my actual journals and pages in the end. Like if they all burned up in a fire, I would be sad, but not like devastated. Is that weird? Is it? I don't know. It's just something that I have settled upon because I have found myself much more free now when I create because I don't think of anything as precious. And I try not to think about it, even though, of course, the thoughts creep up and we always want like to have a nice end product and make beautiful things. Um, but, I try to remind myself so that it is not a barrier to creation, you know? Um, and I often rip apart and dissect my old journals when I feel like it, because I basically like keep the pages that I want. Yeah, so just to make it not precious. And I think that that has opened everything up for me a lot. I am much more free when I create. I just do, just make something, do something, whatever. It's not that important, like it's not so dramatic in a sense. Um, yeah, so this insert, the beginning pages, there's just lots of stickers and deco. Oh, by the way, the postcard on the very front here and in here, this printable is from Brandy Kincaid. She does really beautiful, encouraging artwork. I really love her stuff. And in these beginning yearly pages of the TN insert, I haven't really decided what to do. But I suspect over time I will just collage over, just create something fun. I did try to write an overview to summarize the prompts that I'm following in this insert, but it's sort of ugly. I don't really like it. I might cover it all up. But yeah, I have found lately that I think there are certain pens that I like more, and I like more broad nibs when I use my fountain pens. So yeah, sometimes some of this stuff it just doesn't mm, it's not pleasing to me. And I realize this is all funny because I'm like, didn't I just say that I shouldn't care so much about these things? It's not that I don't care. It's just that I'm able or I am better nowadays at being like whatever. Because, I wrote this up. I don't like it. It's like blah. But I didn't also immediately feel like I had to cover it up or quote unquote fix it. Like I'll change it when I want to change it and we'll just see what happens. Like it's not a big deal. It's just a page in an insert. Yeah, so for my pages in this insert, I basically follow along Louise's weekly videos. And what I do is collage on the left hand side over the dated part because it's outdated. And then I journal, like write my thoughts regarding the prompts on the um, right hand side. And as I mentioned before, sometimes it's like very much a direct response to whatever the prompt was for the week. And other times I just sort of go off in my thoughts um, and, write whatever I want, create whatever I want. There's really no rules. So I'm just going to go through each spread, which is each week. The first week, the prompt was City Sunrise. And you can see that I sort of did my own thing because I didn't really create artwork. Like my collage doesn't really look like the prompt card. And I was really just thinking about new year and new goals and looking forward, which is sort of like this BGM washi tape here with the lighthouse. It's like the lighthouse made me think of light shining out and looking ahead. So that is what I made my collage around with the same like sort of color scheme. And then I just journaled about that. Um, new year, new goals, and, looking forward, like basically all around that idea. And so that was week one. And the next spread, week two, the prompt was winter solstice. And instead of taking the color um, from the card as inspiration, I just followed Louise again and like went with the idea of seeing the stars at night when it's like super dark because the winter solstice is supposed to be like the darkest day of the year, right? Um, so when it's really dark, you see bright things and they are very bright in contrast. So I just did a simple collage with this image of like looking up at the stars in the night. And again, taking from Louise, I journaled about the quote she mentioned from, um, wait, did she mention this? Or I don't know where I got this, but like journaling from the quote from Oscar Wilde that says, when it rains, look for rainbows, and when it's dark, look for stars. And then for week three, the prompt was fog. So Louise used vellum to get like that sort of cloudy look, and she did like multiple layers, and it was really cool. So you should definitely check out her video if you're interested in seeing her collage. But I decided to use some vellum as well, but I obviously didn't create like the same kind of dynamic layered thing. It's just really like a mixed collage. And when I was journaling on this side, my pen sort of ran out of ink, and you can see it like progressively gets lighter, which is really annoying. Then I used another pen with the same color ink, but you can see it looks totally different. So yeah, um, like I said, I try not to treat anything as precious, but it doesn't mean that I don't have opinions about it like after the fact. Obviously don't like this very much, but that's just how it ended up. So for the next page, week four, the prompt was storm. And it was weird because around that time, I think that Louise, where she lives in Australia, I think, like they were facing a storm or something. So it's funny how sometimes there's this like, I don't know, colliding of like real life with the things that happen or the things that you notice. So that's interesting. But the idea of a storm is that sometimes changes it's like very dramatic, like a storm, as opposed to like slowly changing or like learning and getting better at something. So I really enjoyed exploring this topic, just like writing my thoughts about how sometimes we need like drastic change. And I also use like torn paper the way that Louise did that week. But yeah, you should definitely go check out her video for week four because her layout is much more cool and dramatic. I really, really liked it. Um, Next is week five, and the prompt was the word sun. And I did like just a very mixed collage background with all these like yellow and lime colors. And I just stuck this big like sun sticker on it because I have a lot of these stickers. It's actually something I designed and got printed like a while ago. And it was just like one of those deals, where you can choose one image and you get like a pack of stickers for like a deal. So that's why I did it, just to try like the printout to see how it would be like. So I have a million of these. And the prompt really makes you think about perspective, I think, when you have like beautiful golden sunlight on something, you see it differently versus if it's like a cloudy day and everything's gloomy and dark. So just another great prompt to start your journaling around that topic. And for week 6, the prompt was view from a window. And I sort of took it very literally to create a little collage that is like looking out of my window and seeing something perhaps a bit peculiar. And the prompt is sort of exploring how we perhaps might see a particular view of something from our perspective or our position in life, and maybe we don't see the whole situation or the big picture. So I just thought it was interesting to journal on that topic. And again, I think it's another great aspect of starting with a prompt, is that you can just interpret how you would like to take it and, take the parts that resonate with you and journal off of that. Even if it's not like exactly what the prompt is talking about, because again, you're just using the prompt as a starting point, as like a catalyst to get going and doing something. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter if you're answering like the question of the prompt exactly. You can, of course, do whatever you want in the end. It is your journal, like your creative time. So, um, yeah, I think that it's interesting, again, just to have the prompt there to get you started, but then just let yourself, do whatever feels right, basically. So the next week, the prompt was low tide, and I actually used a sheet of stationary like writing paper. I ripped it apart to like in strips to sort of make this like ocean background, and then I used craft paper on the top. That's sort of like the sand of a beach, and then it was just all stickers on top. And the prompt for me was sort of saying how like low tide, how it reveals everything so that you could see what was like on the bottom of the ocean floor that maybe was covered. So I think that the idea of like being vulnerable and sharing yourself, um, how people can then see all that is there, um, and it's not hidden, by the water when it's low tide. So again, just enjoyed writing my thoughts on this particular topic. The next week, the prompt was star. And I think back in week 2, I had already did a page like about staring up at the stars, so I didn't want to do like the same kind of collage. So I went just like totally opposite in terms of picking a very bright um, pattern paper to use as my background. And that I just took from the colors of the prompt card that was like very pink. And so this is just like an abstract pattern, and then I put like little gold stars throughout. And in terms of the journaling prompt, I was just writing about how there are little points of lights like stars that can be guidance or comfort along your journey in life, to sort of be like things that are important or things that you should take note of, whether it's just about curiosity or actually like guidance or comfort. So just writing a little bit about that. The next week, week 9, the prompt was the word fall. And so I just went very literal and did a whole like autumn feeling kind of mixed collage page. It's a big mix of things, just, paper, stickers, pet tapes, that kind of thing. And yeah, so you can definitely see how I am a maximalist. Yeah, just couldn't help myself just adding more, stationery supplies. And for the journaling side of things, I was just writing about the whole aspect of how fall is often a time to let go or surrender things. So just journaling on that idea. Next, for week 10, the prompt was hurricane. And yeah, it's interesting how I think Louise, where she lives, there were maybe some storm, kind of warnings and things. So it was weird how she was pulling these cards that were also like extreme weather kind of topics. Totally coincidental because she is just randomly pulling a card for each week. They're not like chosen beforehand or anything. So, um, when this came up, I wasn't like, I don't know, even listening to the prompt and stuff, I definitely was not in the mood to do like a dramatic collage or any kind of, storm like kind of thing. I think I sort of went the opposite. And I had this like roll of pet tape with these girls, and I was like, "Ah, I'm just gonna use that." And so I used like all the stickers of this girl, and just wrote a quote that I believe Louise had shared in her video about how someone out there feels better because you exist. So I just thought that was like a really beautiful sentiment. And since that is what like hit me the most, I just went off journaling about that specifically. So again, I don't know if this really relates to hurricane at all, which was like the original prompt, but yeah, it just goes back again to how a prompt is just a starting point so that you can get started, but really you can let it lead you forward however it does lead you forward, and you just do whatever you feel works best for you at that moment in time. So that is my spread for week 10. And next for week 11, the prompt was a flock of birds. So it gave me the opportunity to use like this whole sticker sheet of birdies that I've had for a long time. So it's just really simple, like, decoration with stickers on this side. But then on the journaling side, I wrote about how birds, they like to flock together and how we need to sort of find our tribe and stick together, and the importance of community in general, so just a lot about those thoughts. And the sticker down here that says "Take good care," it's from Brandy Kincaid. And then the next week, 12, the prompt was Big Dipper. So I just used like a star paper kind of background for the whole page and used like a white gel pen to draw in the shape of the Big Dipper. Like really, really simple background. Um, Not really, really didn't do much. And I guess for me, this is like a minimalistic page because I didn't add as much stuff that I would like normally add in. But I thought it was enough, for the actual prompt of Big Dipper. And I just journaled about how um, for so many millennia, like we're all looking up at the same like night sky and stars and constellations, that kind of thing, and how that translates to how much we have in common as humans as opposed to focusing on the differences. So just journaling about that, and you can see I just used some washi tape for decoration, but yeah, it's a very simple spread. So then for week 13, the prompt was full moon. And I just got a bunch of all of my like moon related kind of stickers and things, and made a little collage for that week. Nothing really crazy here. And in terms of the journaling, I sort of don't really remember um, exactly what I was talking about, but maybe just something about how the full moon is sort of associated with a time for release and reflection. So, yeah, just writing about those feelings in general. But again, it's one of those things where, like, sometimes, like, I'm really feeling the prompt and have a lot to say. And sometimes it's just like, doing it because it's fun, but it doesn't necessarily hold like intense meaning or anything like that. And I think that that's okay. Like, not every single journal page has to be like pouring your heart out and be like very, serious in a sense. Sometimes it's just fun, like light, and, whatever you feel like at the moment. And I think that that's fine. And I always want to stress this fact about how it is very much about the process. So no matter what you do in the end, the important part is how you feel good about having done something, keeping up this creative habit, and that is really what is the most important. So that was full moon. And then for week 14, the prompt was mountain sunset. And I took this sort of literally in terms of collaging like a view from the top of a hill, like the whole scene, and the background is just sort of like a rainbow of colored paper, to sort of illustrate like the different parts of your life, because the prompt is sort of asking you to look down at your life from, the top of a mountain sunset like perspective, and thinking about, when there's sunset and things could be calming down, but some parts could actually be coming alive. So in the journaling, I was talking about my thoughts and thinking about how you can gain perspective on things, depending on how you frame it, and how you can zoom out and take in the big picture, to see how you feel about a situation in your life. And by the way, the pen I was using was running out again, and then I had another pen inked with the same color, but it was super inky, so that's why you see this crazy variation in the writing itself. But yeah, that was the spread for week 14. And finally, we have week 15, which is the latest one that I've done before making this video flip through. The prompt is view from a train. And the prompt card was basically mentioning this German word, which I'm very sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's like Eisenbahnscheinbewegung. And basically, it's a term that is describing that feeling like when you're sitting in a train and then the other train car moves, but you think you're moving, and it's like a false movement. So the prompt is talking about the relation of this aspect to your goals, where it might seem like you're heading towards your goals, maybe, but in reality, you're not actually moving. And it really got me thinking, because I think that it's easy for me to keep busy and be like doing lots of things. I don't have problems like checking off the items in my to-do list, like being busy, quote unquote productive. But ultimately, that doesn't mean you're actually moving towards your goals, because doing a lot of things doesn't necessarily yield the results you actually want. Because like you might get other results, but were those actually the results you wanted, like the actual goal that you wanted to hit? Because I think I'm tend to be someone who can keep very busy, but that doesn't mean that it fits in properly with the big picture. I guess the strategy part, I suppose, if you're talking about like business, like corporate speak kind of stuff, where if you really want to reach like this ultimate goal, everything you do has to be steering yourself to that ultimate goal. Sometimes, doing the to-do list and this and that and this and that, all these little things that could take a lot of time, but they don't actually, necessarily matter at the end of the day. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it seems like it would be so straightforward, but real life, it can get so convoluted. And so, yeah, going back to the idea of how you can be doing a whole lot of stuff, but they could just be all the wrong things, like not the right things for the result you want, basically. So I was definitely journaling a lot about that, and um, you know, thinking about that in terms of my own like creative goals, um, and things like that. And the collage itself is literally like looking out a train window, because I actually had this window illustration in my like mix of collage sheets already. So I just thought it was perfect to use it in a spread and do sort of like a mixed collage, and then just leave some room for journaling. So that is my latest spread for this TN insert of, creative journaling from the prompts, following Louise here on YouTube. Her channel is Coffee Tea Paper. And that's all what I've created. So I highly recommend watching her videos and following her here on YouTube. I think that the weekly journaling is, again, it's just nice to have the prompt as a jumping off point. And even if you end up going off in a different creative idea, that's fine too. But I just really like having this habit, and like it's like a weekly like weekend hour or two where I play with papers, make a collage, do some journaling, think about some interesting, topics through the prompts. So I think it's very fun and very useful just to tap into a variety of topics that I might not normally think about, without the prompt. So I do appreciate Louise sharing. So I will be continuing in this insert on a weekly basis, following Louise and her channel, Coffee Tea Paper. And thank you, Louise, for sharing all the card prompts and leading this effort on a weekly basis. It is definitely very appreciated. It's very fun and relaxing for me. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching my flip through. I very much appreciate you here watching my video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and I would love it if you subscribe to my channel for more stationery and journaling videos. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, bye.